BTB listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspires you, do me a favor and take 5 seconds to shoot me a like and subscribe to the podcast. There are several more exciting guests that are in the pipeline, and I just can't thank you enough for your continued support, and let's keep paying the mission forward. This is where most people start regressing from the progress that they've created. I've seen over and over again. People usually don't fail because they didn't start. They fail because they didn't protect their progress. Every time I lose ground, it wasn't because I didn't know what to do. It was because I stopped saving what mattered. What are you built to be? What are you built to become? The time is now. The time is right now. You weren't built to break. You were built to be something greater. Welcome to Season 2 of the BTB Project. I'm your host, Kollman Gearhart. I was an overweight kid, the one counted out, lost 100 pounds, found purpose in the pain, and turned my setbacks into a story worth telling. This podcast isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about identity, discipline, and comebacks. Getting up one more time and becoming who we're always meant to be. If you're ready to go deep, do the work, and live out what you're built to be, you're in the right place. Let's lock in, let's rise, and let's get to work. Welcome back to the BTB Project. I'm your host, Kollman Gearhart, and we are in the BTB Blueprint. And if you're just joining us, here's a quick recap of what we've covered so far to help get you engaged and to help get you locked in for today's episode. We've gone through study, decide, pair, in, and work. And the next step in the BTB Blueprint is to save. Now, when you think about saving and your goals, dreams, and ambition, I believe this step doesn't get talked about enough because most people think of transformation is always about adding more. It's always about piling on to what you've already accomplished or what you're already going after. Trying to be more disciplined, put in more effort, add more intensity. But step 6 is also about protecting what you've already built. And what I mean by that is sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit for the progress that we've made. And being able to look back at what you've already built and saying to yourself, how can I save more of my energy? How can I save more of the standards that I've created? How can I save the version of you that's finally showing up in your life? Typically, when you get to this point of the blueprint, this is where most people start regressing from the progress that they've created. Here's something that I've seen over and over again, whether this is in athletics, in business, in personal growth. It's this: people usually don't fail because they didn't start. They fail because they didn't protect their progress. They make a little progress and then they give it all back. They start feeling better, so they begin to loosen their standards a little bit. They get the momentum towards their goal, and then they stop doing the very things that created it. I've lived this in my own life. Weight loss, training, faith, marriage, business. Every time I lose ground, it wasn't because I didn't know what to do. It was because I stopped saving what mattered. So now, since you have some context, what does save really mean in our built to be journeys? This step isn't about money, even though it's always good practice to save more than you earn and build up that nest egg for retirement and so on and so forth. But what I mean with save in this context is being able to protect your time, protect your energy. How are you fueling your body every day? What are you doing to make sure that you're getting enough sleep and getting enough exercise to withstand the day in and day out of what you're taking on? This means protecting your habits. That morning ritual that you've set up for yourself, are you making that sacred in your life? Is it a non-negotiable in your calendar that no matter what, you're waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do that 20-minute routine, cold shower, prayer, workout, you're getting everything in? Are you protecting that? Are you protecting your environment? Are you a head of household or leader of your family like myself? Are you making sure that you're the beacon of light, the one that is igniting possibility amongst the most important relationships in your family, the most important relationships in your life? Are you protecting your identity? Think of it like this. You wouldn't train hard for months after months and then leave the door wide open for someone else to steal all of your gear. You wouldn't put yourself in that situation. If you went to the same gym 6 days a week and it was under lock and key and you knew that you were the only one that could open it and the only one that could close it, and you had some really nice, expensive gear in that gym, would you ever walk out without locking the door? Would you leave it unprotected? So what does that mean with your mentality and your emotions? We let our old habits creep back in. We let our old voices get loud. The old environments drain us. The old versions of ourselves negotiate the rules. And then we begin trying to save or create boundaries to make sure that all that old noise doesn't creep back in. And those boundaries that we're creating to save the progress that we've made in our journeys, that's not selfish. That's actually strategic. That is a strategy that is going to get you from where you are to where you want to go. I remember very clear when I was making decisions to play tennis at the highest level and transform my body and chase these dreams. I mean, everything mattered. As a young kid, I knew I had some advantages because of just the sheer possibility of being younger. You can typically do more in that moment. But my sleep mattered. The food that I consumed mattered. Who I listened to mattered. Who were the influences? Who were the direct people that were around me on a day in and day out basis? where I spent most of my time mattered. I didn't have the luxury of winging it in my life. It was something that I had to do on a daily basis of being consistent and saving the progression that I had. Because one bad week could undo months and months of work. And that is something that I wasn't going to accept for myself. When you start building momentum and creating this nest egg of progress and progression and change, it's the slightest things that can deviate you from that path. And the truth is, the better you get, the more intentional you have to become to protect that built to be journey. Growth doesn't make life easier. It makes your choices more important. Every choice, every decision, every pivot that you're making is 1000% going to change the trajectory of where you're going. So I have a 5-minute actionable exercise for you that I want you to include in your Built to Be Blueprint journal. So go ahead and grab that journal. And I want you to find a clean sheet. We're going to go 5 minutes through what we call the BTB Save Audit. I want you to give yourself the opportunity to be practical with this save mentality in your journey. So after you've written Built to Be Save Audit on the top of the paper, I want you to answer these 4 questions. You're going to write down the question and you're going to write down your answer accordingly. Number 1, what drains me right now? Out of all the things you can think of in your day in and day out, think of the people that you hang around. Think of the habits that you've created, that you're instilling, that you're repping on a daily basis. Think of the apps or the time that you're spending on your phone. Think of conversations that you're having. Think of routines that you're having. If it drains you consistently, it's costing you progress. But it's so important for you to identify what drains you so that we can start working towards those. Number 2, I want you to ask yourself the question, what strengthens me? So once you've identified what drains you, let's talk about what strengthens you. Is it the amount of sleep you get tonight? Maybe you're shooting for 7, 8, 9 hours. And you know that that particular threshold of sleep changes the entire outcome of your day, your week, your month, just by the time you're spending on that pillow. What about training? Your fitness, your exercise. Does that strengthen you? Maybe it's your 15 minutes of silence or prayer each day. Maybe it's doing what you're doing right now with this exercise, journaling. Maybe it's structure or accountability. What strengthens you? Spend time writing that down. These are the things that protect your built to be journey. This is a non-negotiable. These strengths are the shield over your audacious, abundant life. These are the things that are so important for you to hold on to. Question 3. What boundaries do I need to set? This is a hard one because you need to know what's the threshold or limits that you have in your life? What needs to be reduced? Maybe you're working 3 or 4 jobs right now, and working 10, 12, 14-hour days is unsustainable. Yes, you need the income, but maybe you got to find a way to consolidate that time. What needs to be stopped together? Do you have a bad habit that's just breaking you down? Is it indulging at 9, 10 o'clock at night with those snacks and desserts that you know you shouldn't be eating on a day in and day out basis, because it throws off all of the work that you've put in for that clean diet throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month? What are some things that you need to put boundaries around so that you can protect what you have? Last but not least is, what am I no longer willing to give back? When you think about this question, think about things that are incredibly important to who you are foundationally. What makes you the person that you are today? Is it your peace? Is it your health? Is it your momentum? Your standards? Write it down. These are things that are not going to be taken away from you or given away by you. Because as you have those standards in your life, this clearly creates commitment in your life. So once you've answered those 4 questions, we're going to spend a couple minutes with an identity shift. And here's the mindset shift I want you to hear. Saving isn't a weakness. Saving is wisdom. You do not have to prove yourself by burning yourself out. I know a lot of us can relate to this, but the biggest achievements that I've experienced in my life, some of them came at the hands of just sheer willpower. And as much as it was awesome to have those willpower moments, it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't something that I could do on a daily basis for the rest of my life. So being able to reevaluate that, you don't have to prove yourself by burning out. You don't have to say yes to everything. Sometimes no is the most beautiful, godly thing you can do in your life. To be able to stay on track with what you've predetermined on your journey. You don't have to live like your old version anymore. BTB, Big Teddy Bear, that's not who I am anymore, but it's been something that's driven me into who I am today. Can you take some of those negative connotations in your life and flip them to a positive? And lastly, saving is how you tell the world, this matters to me now. And when the people around you start seeing how much this blueprint means to you, it will emphatically, exponentially change your life. So here's your BTB challenge for this week. Save one thing on purpose. I'm going to say that again. Save one thing on purpose. One habit you protect, one boundary you set, one drain you remove, one standard you've raised. And notice how much easier the work becomes when your progress isn't leaking everywhere. Listen, if this BTB Blueprint Step 6 about saving and protecting your BTB Blueprint, if it impacted you, do me a favor, like and subscribe to the BTB Project. Better yet, send this to a family member, friend, or colleague, and tell them why protecting and saving means something to you, and how could it mean something to them. Remember, in the last step, we talked about putting in the work. Let's protect that work with a sacred foundation of no one is going to step on my built to be journey over my dead body. As always, I'm proud of each and every one of you, And until next time, take care.